Captain Jake Morrison stared at the trembling, blue-skinned girl huddled in the corner of his cargo bay, her 4 arms wrapped protectively around her knees. The translator chip in his ear buzzed with static as she whispered something in her native tongue, probably prayers to whatever gods the Kithara worshipped. "This is insane, Vextar," Jake said, turning to face the towering alien merchant whose crystalline scales reflected the harsh fluorescent lights. "I can't just take someone's daughter because you lost a card game." Vexitar's eye stalks swiveled independently, a sign of deep distress among his species. "Human Morrison, you do not understand. The sacred wager is binding under galactic commercial. Law, Section 847 Delta specifically states—" "I don't care what some bureaucrats in the core worlds decided," Jake interrupted, his voice rising. "This is a person, not cargo." The girl, Zara, Vextar had called her, looked up at the sound of raised voices. Her large amber eyes held an intelligence that made Jake's chest tighten. She couldn't be more than 16 in human years, though with alien biology who could. "Tell? Please." Vextar's voice cracked through his translator. "My debts to the consortium are substantial. If I break the sacred wager, they will execute not just me, but my entire family line. 7 generations, human Morrison. 7 generations will die for my foolishness." Jake ran a hand through his graying hair. 3 years of running cargo between the Outer Rim colonies had taught him that alien customs were often incomprehensible, but they were also absolute. The Galactic Consortium didn't make exceptions, especially not for humans, who were still considered newcomers to the galactic community. "What exactly does this sacred wager entail?" Jake asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Standard terms," Vextar replied, pulling out a data pad covered in glowing symbols. "Zara becomes part of your household until the debt is considered satisfied. Minimum term, 5 standard years. She will serve as, how do you say, indentured servant?" "Slave," Jake said flatly. "The word you're looking for is slave." Zara spoke suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. The translator rendered her words. "Father, please, I accept my fate. Let me spare our family this dishonor." Something in her tone, resignation mixed with fierce protectiveness, reminded Jake of his own daughter back on Earth. Sarah would be about Zara's age now, if she were still alive. If the plague hadn't taken her and Maria both. "No," Jake said quietly, then louder. "No, absolutely not." Vexitar's scales dimmed to a sickly yellow. "Human Morrison, please reconsider. The consortium can go to hell," Jake finished. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm accepting your daughter as per your sacred wager, but she's not going to be anyone's servant." He turned to Zara, kneeling down to meet her eyes. "You'll have your own quarters, you'll eat at my table, and if you want to learn about running a cargo ship, I'll teach you. 5 years from now, you can decide if you want to stay or go." Zara's eye stalks quivered, the Kithara equivalent of shock. I do not understand, human Morrison. Call me Jake, and it's simple. You're crew now, not property." He stood, facing Vextar again. "That satisfy your legal requirements?" The alien merchant's scales rippled through several color changes. "This is highly irregular, but technically, yes. The law requires only that she be incorporated into your household. It does not specify her role." Over the following months, Jake discovered that Zara possessed an intuitive understanding of hyperspace navigation that put most certified pilots to shame. Her 4 arms made her invaluable in the engine room, and her species' natural ability to see in multiple light spectrums helped spot smugglers trying to hide contraband. More importantly, she laughed at his terrible jokes and helped fill the crushing loneliness that had driven him to the Outer Rim in the first place. "Jake," she said one evening over dinner using the human name with growing confidence. Why did you not simply accept the standard arrangement? It would have been easier for you. Jake pushed food around his plate, considering his words. Where I come from, we have a saying, the measure of a man is how he treats those who can do nothing for him. You couldn't do anything for me when your father lost that bet. You were powerless, scared, and completely at my mercy. And now? Now you're family, Jake said simply. That's what humans do. We collect strays and call them home. 2 years later, when consortium inspectors arrived for a routine check, on the sacred wager arrangement, they found Captain Morrison and Navigator Zara preparing for a cargo run to the Centauri system. Zara wore a uniform bearing the Morrison freight insignia and carried herself with the confidence of someone who belonged. This arrangement is... The lead inspector paused, consulting his datapad. Unprecedented. Humans often are, Zara replied smoothly, her grasp of standard now flawless. It is one of their most admirable qualities. The inspector made notes with obvious confusion. In the 5 centuries since first contact, no species had ever voluntarily elevated a sacred wager recipient to equal status. Most treated them as slightly better than robots. After the inspectors left, Jake found Zara staring out at the stars through the observation deck's viewport. 3 more years, she said quietly. Feeling homesick? She turned to him, her amber, eyes bright with unshed tears. Jake, this ship is my home. You gave me something I never expected. Choice. When those 5 years are up, I choose to stay. Jake nodded, his throat tight with emotion. Good, because I've got a lot more terrible jokes to subject you to. Her laughter echoed through the corridors, warm and bright and achingly familiar. Outside, the stars beckoned toward their next adventure, and Jake Morrison, former widower, current captain, and forever collector of strays, plotted a course toward tomorrow. In the end, the consortium never did understand what made humans different. They saw the galaxy in terms of laws and contracts, profit and loss. Humans saw it in terms of second chances and found families, of turning rules into opportunities for kindness. It made all the difference.